Welcome to the Boneyard with Steve Robertson. As always, I am your good friend and host, Steve Robertson. Here on the Hump Day edition of the Yard, Bulldogs won last night in Samford. I was there to provide the written and video account. If you need to get some recap or get up to speed on what happened in the ball game, you can get that information only at genespage.com. Just swing on over there and you can get video recaps with Coach Lamonis, exclusive comments from Bryce Chance, and winning pitcher Tyler Davis. It was a good win, and we're going to break that down. We're going to preview the Florida series. Also going to take a look at the WBIT third round game coming up for your Mississippi State women's basketball team against Penn State. First road trip of the tourney for the ladies. They win this one. The remaining games are on a neutral court. Yeah, so very proud of the ladies and their efforts, and Coach Sam Purcell, as I mentioned on yesterday's show, that it would have been easy to just kind of pout and say this thing is over. But those young ladies have a lot of pride in themselves and what they do. And, of course, Mississippi State. And so we're very proud to have them representing us in the postseason. But, a lot going on. And, of course, we had Pro Day yesterday as well. I'll give you a quick recap there. So they don't make official times public. And they don't want us to report unofficial times. Okay, and I share that with you just because of the fact a lot of people wonder, well, what about this, what about that? The agents kind of control the flow of information rather than Mississippi State. And every scout there has their own stopwatch and things like that. Of course, there's people that facilitate the event. The notables all did really well, and we'll see how things go. But I don't think it's going to be a huge draft for Mississippi State. We got a lot of guys out there that are kind of tweeners. We'll have some undrafted free agents. I expect a couple guys to get drafted. But, these visits coming up are very significant. I think Buki Watson, DeCam Richardson, Tulu Griffin, and maybe Jed Johnson, Jaden Crumity. I think all five of those guys will end up in a camp somewhere. Some of those guys will be drafted. Some of those guys won't be. But there's a lot to come. But it's always nice to be there. We had a chance to interview a handful of players, and we'll make that content free. Over Gene's page. We were able to get an exclusive interview with Jaquaria Spivey yesterday. Justin Farmer got that, posted that yesterday, kind of gave him the opportunity to reflect a little bit. There was some discussion about him possibly coming back, and it's a very complicated matter. Let me just tell you this. It's not going to work out, right? He was able to be granted the transfer. Of course, there was all these eligibility requirements because he had enrolled in classes and withdrew after the date. And so there was just a lot of things here that are going to prevent him from playing one more final season in college football. But you can read about that, again, over at genespage.com, the Mississippi State affiliate for 247 Sports. Hey, let's thank our friends at Bulldog Burger Company, longtime sponsors of the show. Matter of fact, my wife doesn't know it, but I plan to surprise her with Bulldog Burger Company for dinner. Yeah, she's working at the spa pretty religiously, and so I'm going to surprise her with Bulldog Burger Company for dinner. I'm not even going to ask her what she wants. I'm just going to get it because of the fact that I know whatever I get, she's going to be happy with. That's the great thing about Bulldog Burger Company. There's so many great options to choose from and so many delicious items on that menu, you just simply can't go wrong. 3 great locations to serve you: University Drive here in Star Vegas, Gloucester Street there in Tupelo, Lake Harbor Drive in the Ridge and Flowood area. Great, man. Have the spring rolls as your appetizer. They'll make you and everybody around you better looking. Not that the bride needs it, but I'm going to get her some anyway. Yeah, it's true. Maybe she'll look at me in a different light. And we'll get that dessert to go. Probably have some Shipway's bread pudding. I'm going to drop down some coin tonight. And I'm going to make sure we have a great experience, even though we're getting it to go. They did such a great job during COVID. I remember all that. That was one of the things, we all got so busy. And we got tired of cooking red beans and rice and having soup and things like that. And you wanted to have somebody else kind of do the cooking for you, but a lot of times they didn't know how to package it up well. Bulldog Burger Company has taken it to an art form. So if you need food to go, that's the way to go. Maybe you're a DoorDasher or an Uber Eats person, I don't know. But I can tell you this, when you get Bulldog Burger Company, you get your food well packaged. So even if you're not in the mood to eat out, but you don't want to cook, give Bulldog Burger Company a try, for sure. All right, let's get into this baseball game. There was also, too, a young man that stopped me. And a lot of you Birmingham Bulldogs are so incredibly nice to me. I guess it's because you don't see me that often. But when I go over there, there's always people that stop and want to visit. I saw our friend Stacy Acker there. Love her to death, man. Really, really happy to see her. There was a guy that stopped me, though, and he had just finished up the Boneyard. And I regret that I didn't get his name. I should have given him a shout-out on the show. But he goes, "Hey, Steve, I just finished the Boneyard," and he shows me his phone, and sure enough, that's what was on. So glad that we were able to have a moment. I get really busy on game day. It's a work day for me. I'd love to be able to come out and just kind of visit with you guys and enjoy your ball game, but it is a work day, especially when I'm flying solo in these deals. And so, yeah, thanks so much for your support, and thanks for saying hello. You don't know what that means, especially on a day like yesterday, because here's what happened for me. I had to get out, record a show, hustle over to Pro Day, do our Pro Day interviews, and I thought I was going to have time to go by the True Rest Float Therapy Spa here in Starkville. And you guys need to get in there and float too. You do. I thought I was going to be able to have time to do that, but I didn't. So I had to leave from Pro Day, make the call to the wife, say, "Hey, it ran a little bit longer than we anticipated. I'm sorry. I love you. I'll see you later." But I got to get to Birmingham. And so we get over there to Birmingham. Immediately when I get there, got to go ahead and punch out the baseball article, right? The play-by-play article that I do. If you can't go to games and you just kind of keep up on Twitter, you can click on that and kind of figure out how we got to where we are. So I got that done. Then I had to upload all the videos from Pro Day and write the Boneyard article. I got all that done and then went down and used my little voucher at the concession stand. And in case you're wondering, Coke Zero and some peanut M&Ms. And then got right back to work. And so it had been a very, very hectic day. And when this young guy stopped me and say, "Listen to the Boneyard," it meant a lot to me. It really did. And I wish I'd have got his name, because I'd love for him and people that love him to know that he did something very nice. Just saying hello and say, "Steve, I just finished the Boneyard." It was great. And again, I had a very, 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 very busy day. Didn't even see the wife yesterday, at least not awake, right? I was asleep when she left, and she was asleep when I got home. But that's the life we lead, right? That happens sometimes. But that little small gesture of just saying, "Hey, Steve, I just finished the Boneyard," I want to tell you, that meant a lot to me. It really did. All right, let's get to the ball game. Started out well enough for us. Pico calling on the mound, just his second appearance, is coming back from Tommy John. Pico is a dude, man. We need him to kind of get up to speed. And so they announced on Monday that he was going to be starting on Tuesday. He did not factor in the decision. But we started out pretty well. And they were starting a veteran right-handed guy. And so I felt like, hey, we were not going to see a soft toss and lefty. Maybe we'll be okay here, right? Get tired of all that stuff. And these midweek games get kind of funky. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later, too. Very first pitch of the game, they plunk Amani Larry. And that comes back to bite him. Mershawn then kind of inside outs one. I thought it was going to get down off the bat. It stays up. It's a fly out to left. And then DJ doubles down the left field line. And pretty crazy here, they charged this error to the left fielder. I did not agree with that. The throw goes into third, and the third baseman just lets it roll. So the run scores, and then DJ goes all the way around to third. And so it's a 1-0 ball game. But they charged my left fielder with that error. I disagree. I think that error is on the third baseman. You got to get out there and get that. You do. Hines then pops up to left field, kind of fouls out there in foul ground, but it's deep enough to score the run, so DJ trots home, and then Hyzak grounds out. Hyzak did not get a hit last night for the first time in a dozen games, so his hitting streak is now officially snapped. He did have some opportunities, had a couple of foul backs to the catcher that in big situations too, but that's okay. We love Connor. But it's a 2-0 ball game midway through the first, and I was sitting there thinking to myself, as I heard Jim Ellis and Ron Polk covering the ball game immediately to my left over there, I thought, that's exactly what Pico needed. Just go out there, get a lead, let him pitch from ahead. And so we did. And he gets the strikeout swinging right out of the gate. Now, how this left-handed kid, he played against us 2 years ago when they beat us in Hoover. But this Howe kid is ridiculous. You talk about a guy that knows how to handle a bat. And after watching him, I paid attention to him because he was our leading hitter. I want to see what makes this guy tick. This kid is a really, really tough out. Spoils a lot of two-strike pitches, but we walk him here. And then he immediately steals second. He has not been thrown out on the year in stolen base attempts. And he leads that team in stolen bases. And you kind of see why he's very opportunistic. Anderson then flies out to center field, allows Howe to tag and take third. Rodriguez then walks, and then Steele hits a single to right field, and the run scores. You kind of manufacture the run here, right? We gift you the walk, you take second. the sac fly to get him to third, and then it's a base hit. And again, you got to get 2 out base hits, and they do right here. But I thought, you know what, that's a very, very, very interesting scenario there. That whole sequence was rather interesting. But again, that's what good teams do. You find a way to manufacture runs, and they did there. And so after the RBI single, we walk Bennett, and we get Horowitz to strike out swinging. And it's 33 pitches in the first inning. And if memory serves me correct, only 15 of them were strikes. And so Pico just hadn't found it yet, but he's going to be fine. I have a lot of faith in him, a lot of faith in Justin Parker. We'll have Pico used as a weapon down the stretch. Because when he was good, he's really good. All right, top of second, Stevens DHing last night. They start a right-hander, and so as a result, we counter with a left-handed DH. Pops up to third here. Downs strikes out looking. Downs just kind of had a rough stretch here. He did hit a couple balls really well last night, but he hadn't been seeing it quite as well. I think part of it's because the way that he killed LSU, people are paying more attention to him. All right, Steven Spalletta, with his first college start last night, is hit by the pitch. I thought he did a pretty good job behind the plate. Of course, he's not as experienced as Johnny Long and Joe Powell. I did ask Coach Lamonis in postgame about Joe Powell because I expected to see him. When I saw Spalletta behind the plate, I thought, well, Joe must not be right. He's still in concussion protocol, but he's progressing. And, guys, that has been a very lengthy process. That happened against LSU. Didn't happen against A&M. Coming up on 2 weeks now. So Spalletta's hit by the pitch, and then Kohler strikes out swinging at the end, the top half of the second. Much better inning for Pico here. Bottom of second, he gets Perry to line out to the shortstop. Walton strikes out looking, and then Staten flies out to center field. So a 1-2-3 inning for Pico. So, yeah, the first inning was a little bit off. Right back on schedule. Much more efficient inning in the second for Pico. Stay goes 1-2-3 in the third. Amani flies out to center. Mershon flies out to center. And then Jordan lines out to the shortstop. Hit that ball pretty well. A diving stab to the shortstop's right was not an easy play by any stretch of the imagination. And I suspect that anytime that you're an infielder and DJ Jordan hits a liner your way, you're thinking about your dental insurance. But bottom of third here, we bring in Colby Holcomb for Pico in a 2-1 ball game. And there's Howe again, singles to the left side. And, guys, he was beat on this pitch. I thought that Howe looked overmatched with Holcomb on the mound. I really did. He couldn't catch up to the fastball. And so rather than try to do that, he just kind of takes it the other way here. On an 0-2 count, we probably catch too much of the plate there. But, again, that's an elite hitter. And what does he do? He gets a single and then steals second. So automatically, with nobody out, you got a runner in scoring position. Anderson strikes out looking. And then they call a balk on Colby. Lamonis didn't agree with the call. We didn't get a replay in the booth, so I wasn't exactly sure what happened there. But apparently Lamonis was not happy. The third base umpire was not inclined to have a lengthy conversation about it. So, again, now there's a runner at third, and Rodriguez flies out to left. It's an RBI sac fly. And so Howe, again, kind of being a catalyst for the Samford offense. That's what happens. You get guys that hit for average, that can steal bases. They typically give your power hitters an opportunity to hit against pitchers in the stretch, and everybody's a different pitcher in the stretch. No doubt about it. Steele then grounds out the first unassisted. It's a 2-2 ball game. I thought, we'll get it going here, and lo and behold, we get a leadoff double. Hunter Hines doubles down the right field line on a 1-1 count. Hyzak then pops up to the catcher. We really needed a productive out there. That's the thing. There's 27 outs I got to get when you're a visiting team, and you got to make as many of those as productive outs as possible. That means, moving runners, whatever, and we don't hear. Stevenson strikes out looking. Aaron Downs walks on 4 pitches. So now you've got 2 men on, Spalletta up there, and hit a ball well, but really just kind of a hard grounder right out there to the first baseman. He tosses to the pitcher who covers. So we squandered a leadoff double. Really could have used that Samford approach right there and found a way to get that run home. We didn't. Bottom of 4, Bennett opens up with a double to left center, and this ball was absolutely smoked. They had a couple balls in the left center field gap that they really barreled up on. This was one of them. And then there's a pass ball on Spalletta that allows the runner to take third. So here we are again. You get the leadoff guy on, and you're able to move him around. Horowitz flies out to right field, and it's an RBI sac fly. Now it's a 3-2 ball game. And you look at this and say, you know what, these guys aren't doing a whole lot, but they're playing within the framework of the way we're pitching them. They're running their offense, finding a way to get things done. And, of course, 2 of these runs were given a base because of us, the balk and the pass ball here. Perry then doubles to left center. And again, this is that same part we're talking about hey, these guys are barreling some balls up here against Colby. And he had a couple of good relief appearances. And I saw some of the angst on social media. I don't agree with that. Nobody's going to be electric every single day. And then the 9-hole hitter, Walton, homers to center field. It's a 2-run shot, makes it a 5-2 ball game. We've seen enough here. We bring in Cam Schulke, and Cam is probably his most extensive action as a Bulldog. And Lamona said in postgame that Samford saw a guy over the weekend that was a bit of an alien like Cam, and they thought that he would have some success. Turns out that he did. And Mississippi State does not win this baseball game without Cam Schulke coming in and eating up some innings here and kind of giving you a good hold. He gets Dayton to pop up to short, and then Howe, the very difficult out, flies out to center field. A sliding catch out there from Connor Hyzak. Howe is kind of like Jake Mangum a little bit, where he just tries to punch it out there. He doesn't try to do too much. Really, really professional approach at the plate. They bring in Riggins here, the left-hander, in place of Jacob Newman. Kohler gets on a fielding error. You roll that ball out there, and they just couldn't make a play. They charged the first baseman with the error. I think it actually should have gone on the second baseman. It's a rush play, and he throws the ball low. It was not a routine play by any stretch, but it also wasn't a base hit. So now you got a runner on. Larry then flies out to left. We thought about bunting here. We were in the booth talking about this. Should we bunt here? Even early in this ball game. You're playing for the big inning, so we don't. But Larry flies out, and then Mershon flies out, and then they bring Gato in place of Riggins. And that was a mistake. That was really, really, really a big mistake. Because DJ Jordan hits the ball to center field. Guys, it's 390 to center field at Jolie Griffin Field. That's the home ballpark for Samford. And maybe you don't know this, but I'll share it with you in case you missed it. It's 390, and Dakota, according to TrackMan, hit that ball 438 feet. So he nearly clears the outfield wall by 40 feet. Makes it a 5-4 ball game. Lengthy at bat here for Hunter Hines, and ultimately Hunter wins this thing here. I didn't think Gato was going to be able to finish him unless he just completely fooled him. He could not get the fastball by Hunter, and I think the breaking ball just didn't have enough bite to it to keep you honest. But we get into a 2-1 count here, then it's a foul, and finally Hunter gets a pitch to his liking and hits an absolute Ruthian blast into right center to tie the ball game at 5. And then Hyzak strikes out looking. But we got what we needed, and that's the thing about having DJ and Hunter in this order. We get to hit too. Sometimes people forget that. We may have a difficult outing by a reliever or even a starter, but we get to swing the bats too. And it turns out that we got 2 guys that are All-Americans in our order, and they eventually will get to you. Bottom of 5, really good inning here for Cam Schulke. Very pitch-efficient inning. I think it ends up being 6 pitches. Anderson fouls out to Hines. Rodriguez strikes out swinging, and then Steele pops up to the second baseman. Really quick inning, and so we're right back on the sticks, right? They bring in Thompson in place of Gato, and he gets Stevens to strike out swinging. Downs flies out to center, and Spalletta grounds out to second base. Not a lot of solid contact in that inning, just so you guys know. Bottom of 6, we bring in Johnny Long in place of Spalletta. And that proved to be significant later. Nothing against Steven Spalletta. We're high on him. We are. Bennett strikes out swinging. They bring in Whitney to pinch hit for Horowitz. And this is a guy that hadn't had a lot of at-bats and hadn't had a lot of success when he's been at the plate. But he ends up walking. Works the count, gets it full, and then we miss. Perry grounds out to first unassisted. Whitney goes to second. We get Walton line out to the shortstop. Dave Mershon doing really good work over there. All right, top of 7. They walk Logan Kohler, and you're thinking, okay, this is a chance for us to take the lead. And then they compound the walk with a wild pitch. So now we have the leadoff runner at second with nobody out. Amani Larry then singles to the left side. They hold Kohler at third. Now you got runners on the corners with nobody out. And you got 2, 3, 4 coming up. You got to find a way to get these runs in. You have to. Well, Mershon strikes out swinging. In the middle of that, Larry takes second. So now you got 2 men in scoring position with less than 2 outs. They walk DJ Jordan. Wasn't intentional this time. It was a lengthy at bat. He takes it, being patient. Bases loaded for Hunter Hines. And you're thinking, here comes the big swing. Even if it's not a home run, we'll get a double. We'll score these runs. We'll get a little separation. But instead, give them some credit. They got Hunter Hines to strike out swinging fooled him on a breaking ball there. And then Hyzak fouls out to the catcher. And I said then that's probably the last opportunity that Hunter Hyzak's going to have to extend his hitting streak. Turns out that it wasn't because we played the additional frame. But that was a missed opportunity for Mississippi State. It just absolutely boggles the mind a little bit here. We got to find a way to get those runs home. You got to get a productive out from Mershon. You got to find a way to get some things going. And we need Hunter to put that ball in play. And, of course, they're trying to. They know this. There's not some hot take. But I thought when this didn't go the way we wanted it to go, I thought, you know what, we might be in trouble. Schulke, however, pitches around the leadoff single from Staten. Hal walks there. And it's so interesting, too. Big E, Everett Kennard was in the booth with us. And runners at first and second. Anderson is up. And he goes, do you think they'll bunt right here? And I says, well, the rules of baseball suggest you should. Interestingly enough, Samford has not had a sacrifice bunt the entire year. Did you know that? Now, I would have tried to find a way to get it done. Say, hey, listen, I need you to bunt here. And if you can't get it down after a couple attempts, we'll swing away. But we're gonna do what we need to do here, especially late in the ballgame. But Anderson ends up strikeout swinging on 3 pitches. And then Rodriguez comes up, big opportunity here, but he grounds into the double play. It's a 6-4-3. And then all of a sudden my enthusiasm was buoyed, right? As bad as I felt after us leaving them loaded in the top half of 7, after this bottom inning-ending double play in the 7th, I thought, well, we got a chance here. They bring in Steckmesser in place of Thompson, and Thompson was good. Pitch has some trouble. We insert Bryce Chance in place of Nolan Stevens here, and it's a ground out to short. And then down singles back up the middle, the best ball he hit all night. And then Johnny Long, grounds into the double play. And so it's a roller coaster of emotions if you're a Mississippi State fan, right? We leave them loaded, we're going to lose. We get a 6-4-3, we're going to win. And then we hit into a 6-4-3, and you're thinking we're going to lose. Bottom of 8, we've been to bring on Brooks Auger, who needed to get some work. And a pretty good inning for him, by and large. Get a pop up to the third baseman, and then Bennett singles through the left side. This is on a full count, too. We get ahead 0-2 here, and I thought we nibbled a little bit. They bring in Prieto to pinch run for Bennett, and then Harris doubles down the left field line. He is completely beat on this pitch. It's just nuts how baseball works sometimes. It's 0-2, right? It's 2 swinging strikes, and maybe we catch too much of the plate here, but, closers are not really known as guys that work deep in the counts. You want to get guys out as quickly as possible. The kid's beat. He can't turn the fastball, but he gets just enough of it and hits it the opposite way for a double down the left field line. It actually hits the bag here. And all of a sudden you got runners at second and third, and you're thinking, Steve, we're going to lose. We're going to lose. Instead, we get a non-productive out here. Pretty crazy scenario here. We mentioned how they hadn't bunted all year. They elect to bunt, and the bunt rolls about a foot to 2 foot in front of the plate. Johnny Long grabs it, lunges back, and makes the tag. And a lot of people in attendance thought he got under the tag. Here's my attitude on that. The baseball gods are watching. When you don't execute plays properly, they're not going to bless your efforts with a gift run, especially in the bottom of the 8th. You don't execute the bunt properly, you don't get rewarded. They didn't here. Really nice play. Really, really, really nice play here by Johnny Long. And then Walton pops up to the third baseman. So, again, we had missed opportunities. They had missed opportunities, but Bulldogs played good defense here and get out of it. And not to be lost in all this is the job that Brooks Auger did, ensuring that he didn't give up a lot of solid contact in this inning. All right, top of 9. Kohler walks. So here we are again. Potential go-ahead run on base. We get the sack bunt down. We've got him to second. Now we got 2, 3, and 4 coming up. Somebody's got to get a base hit for us. Mershon flies out to center. Kohler tags and takes third. They intentionally walk DJ to get the Hines, who flies out to right field. Hit it on a line. It was an absolute laser, but right at the right fielder, Prieto, who had just come in as a pinch runner and stayed in the game to play right. Another missed opportunity. And right here you're thinking, Steve, they're going to walk us off. And I know this because so many of you tweeted that at me. They're going to walk us off. We bring in Tyler Davis, who is Bulldog fans. Rodeo season is here. That's right, the Dixie National Rodeo. Get ready to roll, man. And I remember being a kid, that was like the biggest highlight for us. My grandmother would get us tickets every year, and me and my brother would wear our cowboy outfits. We'd put our boots on, have our chaps, our vest, and we'd go up there, and just in case one of the cowboys got a little bit scared to get on a horse or a bull, we were willing to do it. Yeah, for sure. Guys, boots aren't just for going out to a country western bar and doing a little boot scooting. Maybe you got a little Texas two-step in your game. Tecovas can make you look better than ever. Absolutely. And here's the deal, too. That's the thing, the versatility of Tecovas is you can wear them somewhere nice, or you can live life where you don't go gently. That's what Tecovas does for you. Yeah, it's a rugged, handsome boot. It's my favorite boot brand, and it should be yours, too. Be sure and check them out. Tecovas believes in Western for all people, and you can feel that when you go into their stores. When you walk in, you'll be greeted like family, offered a boot shine and a drink, and maybe even an adult beverage if you prefer. And you can get custom fitted for a new pair of Tecovas boots. You can get custom leather stamping or branding, whatever you need to make it feel somewhat individual. Look up your closest store at tecovas.com. But if you can't make it to a store, Tecovas delivers the most premium quality and most comfortable Western goods right to your door. Visit tecovas.com. That's TECOVAS.com. And you know what, partner? Point your toes west. Bulldog fans, many of us grew up in a time we didn't lock our doors. We didn't feel the need to. We didn't have a need to. But the world is a much different place today than it was when we were much younger. Surely you've seen your neighbors have these video doorbells and things of that nature. You can have the same peace of mind, but also the convenience that you grew up with our friends at Eufy. That's EUFY. Very, 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 very simple product here. Very easy to install, and you set it up with just a Phillips screwdriver. No drilling required, no power tools, anything like that. You get the keyless entry. You don't have to fumble around with the keys when you got your hands full. You never have to worry about your kids losing their keys, or perhaps you've got a rental property and you worry about people passing that key around. You also don't have the anxiety of having this battery that goes down on you. Guys, you got 4 months of power here, and you get a low battery notification before it runs out so you can charge it back up. It's pretty simple. There's no monthly fee, unlike a lot of other brands that charge you that fee. You can have your recordings locally and never have to pay for storage. Eufy is also on standby for you 24/7, and you can get a worry-free experience with an 18-month warranty, all backed by our professional customer service team. Contact them anytime by telephone, email, or even live chat, which is awfully convenient. And here's the thing. There's just so much out there in the world these days. Wouldn't it be nice to know maybe who visited your door when you're out, or perhaps have the security of knowing that you've got video surveillance anytime somebody comes to your door? Well, you absolutely can. Make sure that you look for Eufy Video Lock. That's visit EUFYofficial.com/video lock to see how you can gain complete control of your door. Today's podcast is brought to you by NerdWallet's Smart Money Podcast. What's the best way to help you and your finances thrive? The answer can be overwhelming with all the financial misinformation out there. Fortunately, you can turn to NerdWallet's objective finance journalists to set things straight and help you make smart decisions with your own money. The nerds have helped me get smarter about things like planning for my tax bill so I don't dread April every single year, managing finances with a partner without causing a breakup, putting away more money for retirement since I'm not going to do this podcast forever. Sorry, folks. And also boosting my credit score since good credit is like a real-life cheat code. Saving for an emergency fund because life is like a good movie. It loves a good plot twist. The nerds also explain the real impact that the latest financial headlines could have on your life. Weekly financial check-ins with Smart Money help you spend more time doing what matters and less time worrying about what doesn't. Let NerdWallet's trusted experts untangle today's web of financial misinformation. Listen to NerdWallet's Smart Money Podcast on your favorite podcast app. Future you will thank you. Born again hard. Tyler Davis last year was essentially a mop-up guy for us down the stretch. This year, it's almost like that Jared Liebelt approach. And I can't remember, one of you tweeted that at me or you shared it on Facebook, and I thought that was a great comparison. Jared Liebelt, first year he was here, was just like Tyler Davis. We expected some nice things, didn't get it. But his second year here, he figures it out. And that was the first guy of the bullpen that you wanted. TD doing big work here. Gets a strikeout swinging. Howland flies out to left. Anderson double down the left field line. And you think, oh, well, here it is. Here it is. Rodriguez walks. But instead, Tyler Davis refuses to yield and gets a punch out swinging. 2 strikeouts in the inning for TD. And so now we got some free baseball for us, guys. Some free baseball. Now, they bring in Lohr, who is their closer. And Lohr is arguably the best arm on the Samford pitching staff. They didn't trot out some walk-on, some donor's kid. They didn't bring somebody out there just to save some arms for the weekend. They brought in their best pitcher. And State got him. Hyzak out at first base, and again, his last opportunity. We thought it was going to be in the 7th. He gets one more chance here in the 10th. And the hitting streak is snapped. That doesn't in any way reflect on him as a player. At some point, they all do. Even Paul Molitor's streak was ultimately snapped. And Bryce Chance, in his second at-bat of the ball game, and talked with him after the ball game on and off camera about this scenario here. And he just said, hey, based on the scouting report, I felt like I was going to get a first-pitch fastball. This guy likes to get ahead. And he does. And so he throws the fastball down in his zone, and Bryce turns on it and hits it deep into the Samford night. Solo shot, and again, this is a great example of a guy that gets an opportunity. It wasn't in the starting lineup, inserted late when they bring in the left-hander, and ultimately he makes the big swing to give State the lead for good. But the Bulldogs weren't done. Aaron Downs comes up and singles to the left side. And then Johnny Long executes the hit and run absolutely perfect. Downs goes on the pitch. It's away. And Johnny Long just kind of flares it out there to right field. Absolutely perfect pinpoint execution. Absolutely nuts, man. Downs goes to third. And then Johnny Long steals the bag behind him. And some people were wondering, hey, that's defensive indifference. In a one-run ball game? You kidding me? They're not going to throw down in that scenario with a runner at third. They're not. But that's a stolen base. Absolutely is. Kohler, now with runners at second, third, a chance to give State some insurance. Lengthy at bat here, but he goes down swinging. Then Larry is hit by the pitch again. It's weird. Dave Mershon had a tough night at the plate, comes up and singles back up the middle, drives in 2 runs, make it 8-5. And then DJ comes back and rips one back up the box to make it a 9-5 ball game. And then he's still second, and Hines strikes out swinging. That's the end of your Bulldog offensive, and you knew at this point the way TD was pitching. And there's always this emotional shift in ball games like this. When you finally break through and you begin to have this clarity, hey, we're going to win, the other team feels that too. They do. It's funny how the collective baseball psyche works between teams. You could definitely tell when State pushed across those 4 runs in the top half of the 10th, there was definitely some deflation in the Samford baseball balloon. And then TD goes out here and gets 3 consecutive strikeout swingings. You get Prieto, Harris, and Perry. 1, 2, 3. Really, really efficient ball game for Tyler Davis. And I'll be honest with you, last year I would not have been surprised if he didn't come back. But Justin Parker has done an amazing job with most of our pitchers, and TD is probably one of those guys that have benefited most. Your big offensive heroes last night, Dakota Jordan goes 3 for 4 in the ball game, 3 RBI, a couple runs scored. Hunter Hines 2 for 5 in the game. Aaron Downs 2 for 4. And then, of course, Bryce Chance 1 for 2, but the big swing there that gives State the lead. Pico Kong works 2 innings, 1 hit, 1 run. The run was earned, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts in 45 pitches. Colby Holcomb, again, had some really good relief appearances, a bit of a regression last night. 1 1/3 innings, 4 hits, 4 runs, gets the 1 strikeout. Also had the balk charged against him. Cam Schulke, again, an incredible performance from him. 3 2/3 of an inning. And a lot of people wondered maybe he would be our closer. I think when you've got the guy like him that has the ability to work those middle innings for you or work on the back end, I think you just kind of pick and choose where he fits best. And last night he fit best as a long reliever, and really good advanced scouting by our staff to realize, hey, this is a guy with multiple arm slots that could really mess with Samford a bit, and he did. Again, 3 2/3 of an inning, just 1 hit, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, 45 pitches, and Cam is fine. Cam will be able to go this weekend. Brooks Auger comes in, allows 2 hits, no runs in his 1 inning of work. And Tyler Davis, your winning pitcher, 2 innings pitched, 1 hit, no runs, 1 walk, 5 Ks. That is flat out getting it done right there. When you put 6 outs in the book and 5 of them are strikeouts, most of them swinging, people are not getting a good look at Tyler Davis. Carson Lohr charged with the loss, and what's interesting, his numbers absolutely skyrocket. He only allowed, I think, 4 hits on the season. He gave up that many to Mississippi State last night in 1 inning of work. So really, really good effort late. And I think you learn a lot about your team in games like this. You really do. You learn a lot about your teams because it's so easy to lose focus. And let's be honest. Let's call it for what it is. This was a much bigger game for Samford than it was for Mississippi State, and it typically is. Unless we play them in a regional, which we've done a handful of times now. Samford is a really good, solid mid-major program. A lot of people, I see some of the comments, and guys, I love you, so I'm going to tell you this because I love you. Some of your comments about Samford are embarrassing. What you're really saying is that I don't know college baseball. And I want you to know college baseball. That's part of my duty at this show is to educate and inform, as well as entertain. Guys, Samford won the SoCon last year. In the regular season, they won the SoCon tournament. They went to the NCAA regional, and they beat Southern Miss in game 1. And it's just a matter of time before Samford wins a regional somewhere. I just hope it's not here. But at some point, they're going to win a regional and get to a super. I don't know if they've got the talent to get beyond that. But Samford is a very good, quality, non-conference midweek opponent for us because they get up to play us. Now, we played them 51 times. We beat them 40. And you may recall they beat us over at the Hoover Met in 2022. In my estimation, that was the lowest point in the season. This is a good win for us. Now, I don't know what it's going to do for us RPI-wise, but as far as like going into another team's ballpark that has a lot of pride, that is well coached, has a really nice recruiting footprint, and maybe some kids aren't quite good enough to play at Alabama or Auburn, make their way to Samford, and they build a pretty solid career. People forget we got Colton Ledbetter from out there too. Not to mention Sonny DeShera, one of the most feared hitters in the Southeastern Conference the last few years, transferred from Samford to Auburn. We had Sonny DeShera come in here and see us in that 2021 regional, even hit a tank against us. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you Samford is LSU because they're not. But to act like this is supposed to be some cupcake win over just a team from the SoCon, you're kidding yourself. This is a good win for us. It absolutely is. And you may recall, too, when I remember going over there to Samford, and I guess it was in 19, and Rowdy Jordan was really struggling and goes over there and gets a couple of hits. One of them was kind of a C&I bloop single that scored a couple runs, proved to be the difference in that ball game. We went over there and won 6-4. And if memory serves me correct, we set, I think, the second biggest crowd ever at Samford, and most of them Bulldogs, obviously. But they expected to win that ball game. We came back to win the game. And so, again, I'm not going to sit here and belabor the point and tell you how great Samford is. But for those of you that are acting like it's just some excuse-me type ball game that we can just show up and the power of the M over S will have people kneeling and bowing to us, you're kidding yourself. We show up over there as an RPI opportunity for them and a recruiting poster, right? Because you and I both know that they beat us in a ball game. They're going to be sending those graphics out to every kid they're recruiting. Not that they'll ever beat us in recruiting, but to suggest that they would just show up and lay down for us is just short-sighted. This Samford program has a ton of pride. A lot of people have put a lot of effort into making sure Samford baseball is a very good program, and they have proven to be a very, very, very good program in recent years. Absolutely, without question. They've been to a regional in 2 of the last 3 years. Hadn't won one yet, but at some point, they're going to surprise somebody. At some point, I'm just telling you. And, they ambushed Chris Stratton years ago, too. Yeah, maybe you've forgotten. I haven't. But again, a good quality win, not just because of the caliber of the opponent, but the fact that the Bulldogs kind of grinded one out there late. So congratulations to everybody involved. We'll preview the Florida series a little bit later in the show. Let's take a quick look at the night it was in the Southeastern Conference. Some interesting games, for sure. Arkansas bounces back from their loss to Auburn and takes care of Arkansas Little Rock in 7 innings, 11-0. Little Rock got 2 hits in the ballgame. That's it. Tennessee, 11-1 winners over Tennessee Tech. You remember the Golden Eagles were our favorite team a few years ago when they went in there and won that Oxford Regional. Really liked those guys a lot. They had just 3 hits in the ballgame too. This weekend's opponent, the Florida Gators, were destroyed last night. Florida State gets them 14-3. Florida State has 15 hits. Florida manages just 3. And they're ranked 6th in the country. True. 14-10. I don't know what it is. It's a weird thing. Florida may not win a midweek game all year. Texas A&M, bit of a tussle with Houston Christian. The Aggies win that game 6-3. Always interesting. Vanderbilt got swept over the weekend, and they battled back in a midweek tussle with Valpo. Did you expect to see that? Vanderbilt wins the game 3-2. Vanderbilt's starting to look a little vulnerable. We got that trip to Nashville coming up here in a few weeks. Looking forward to that. I love Nashville. LSU takes care of Southeastern Louisiana last night, 8-4. And again, a bit of a tussle. Southeastern's a little bit like Samford in that respect. You know, those guys are going to come to play. They absolutely are going to come to play. It's important to understand that. Alabama, 6-3 winners over Belmont. Not a crazy ball game, but a game they win. You wanted to see a crazy one, though. Got South Carolina and Presbyterian. You know, South Carolina kind of feeling their oats a little bit. Maybe they're finding themselves a bit. They outlast Presbyterian 19-14. 25 hits combined in a ball game. It's absolutely nuts, man. And sometimes midweek games get a little funky. They just do. Kind of how life is. You know, kind of, and just so you guys know, they had to bring Chris Veach in late. South Carolina did to get the final out. But it's pretty nuts here. He just throws the one pitch and gets out of it. But pretty crazy stuff here in this ball game. Tons of home runs. And we've had a ton of weather here. But it was one of those games, too, that, you know, South Carolina got out to the big lead there. Got up 9-0. And then next thing you know, Press just kind of starts chipping away. And you look up, it's a 9-5 game. And South Carolina extends again. And then Presbyterian comes back and chips away. Guys, in the 7th inning, it was 17-8. And it ultimately ends up being 19-14. Nuts, man. Absolutely nuts. You don't think South Carolina people are like, oh my gosh, what's going on with our pitching? You know, it happens. Kentucky, 9-5 winners over Miami of Ohio. Wildcats, of course, now nationally ranked as well. Interesting game, for sure. Always is. Auburn, 13-3 winners in 7 innings over Jacksonville State. Gamecocks just must not have much this year. Even in these midweek games, they're struggling a little bit. Our friends from Austin Peay tried to give it a game for a while, but Ole Miss ultimately wins 13-9. 23 hits combined in a ball game. It's so interesting, too. I saw some people retweeting some Ole Miss people that were bragging about beating Austin Peay. And so, you know, they beat Mississippi State. And I thought to myself, honestly, and granted Ole Miss is, I think, playing a little bit ahead of schedule right now. But I thought, you know, as an Ole Miss fan base, where are you as a fan base when that's the measuring stick? We beat Austin Peay, and you didn't, so we're better. Man, how far have we fallen? Tough. Austin Peay scores 4 runs in a night to make that game look a little more respectable. But it's interesting. Austin Peay jumped on them early. It's a 4-0 lead, headed to the bottom of 1, and then Ole Miss ties it back up. Guys, this is a 5-5 ball game in the 3rd. So, yeah, there were probably some people on the Austin Peay side that maybe we're SEC champions. You know, they beat Auburn once, beat us twice. Pretty crazy stuff, for sure. But, yeah, so interesting night around the league with everybody winning. But the game is very, very competitive in many respects. I guess Florida did not win. And we'll look at their schedule as we get into our preview. But it's a very, very interesting dynamic what's happening in Gainesville. They're not going to waste any weekend arms and midweeks, and those young guys are just trying to have to learn by fire out there. But that's your college baseball update. We'll come back. We'll look at our WBIT thing after the top 10 list. All right, speaking of that top 10 list, it's time for today's top 10 list. Very interesting topic today, too. Always brought to you by our friends at closeatblair.com. Blair Chandler is my friend, your friend, our collective friend in the mortgage industry. So whether you're looking to just start out in life, maybe you need a second mortgage, maybe you're thinking about that game day condo that's always been a dream, get with Blair to find out how reasonable that could be for you. Yeah, maybe that becomes your retirement home. It's like, you know what, Steve, we're empty nesters now. Like to have a little place up there. We can kind of keep our stuff and eventually sell our primary residence and just move to Starkville. Go to all the ball games. Blair can help that dream become a reality for you. Give him a call or text today at 601-500-2344. Visit the website Close with Blair. That's C-L-O-S-E with Blair, BLAIR.com. And Blair can get you lined out. Always good to get pre-qualified too. You don't want to be wasting your time, your emotional energy, or your real estate agent's time. Get pre-qualified, and trust me, that gets people really motivated to do business with you when they know that you have financing approved. Again, that's closewithblair.com. All right. I recently saw a reel, and I do that in my spare time. When I just need a minute, I'll just go upstairs and lay in bed and play on my phone like everybody else does. And I enjoy watching the reels because you guys are so doggone entertaining. But it was a guy that broke a song down and kind of changed it down to a low tempo, kind of a somber tone. And he shared that a song that many people think is really kind of a happy, peppy pop song really isn't. And I got to thinking, I know a lot of songs like that, a lot of songs that seem like a celebration of sorts, and they're really not. And so we're going to talk about those today. There's an interesting duality in every bit of that, right? So here are top 10 songs that sound happy but are actually sad. That's where we go. Not that I'm trying to depress you. I'm just trying to give you the proper context. Now, probably one of the greatest songwriters of the early 90s had kind of perfected this art form is Doug Hopkins from the Gin Blossoms. We've talked about Doug on the show before. I really feel a bit of a kinship with Doug. Doug's a guy that battled alcoholism and depression and ultimately committed suicide shortly after receiving his gold record for his efforts on the new Miserable experience from the Gin Blossoms. And many people consider that their debut album. There actually was a first one, an album called Dusted. And the tempo of many of these songs changed when they went with A&M. And so many of the songs from Dusted were re-recorded later. Many of those on the new Miserable experience and others, other segments of the catalog here. Now, the song that I'm going to mention here, number 10, is a Gin Blossom song that Doug didn't write, but they were trying to kind of stay true to the Doug Hopkins formula. And this song comes up, it's actually pretty pitiful, really. It's Gin Blossoms at number 10 with Till I Hear It From You. The song basically is about a guy whose girlfriend is clearly cheating on him, and everybody else seems to know, and he's like, I'm just going to assume that everything is cool until I hear it from you. It's really not the song of understanding or security that people suggest it to be. It's really kind of codependent in its infancy. All right, number 9, a very haunting song by one of my favorite female vocalists of all time. It's Sarah McLachlan. Now, the great song Possession is number 9 today, and it sounds like a love song. It does. You put it on, it's like this is a very sexy and sultry song, and Sarah McLachlan sings it so well. But it's basically, and I don't guess she gave these people co-writing credits, but it's basically a song that is fashioned around creepy things that she called them stalkers. They were fans, I guess, that were pursuing a intimate experience with her. But anyway, she took some of the weirdest stuff and made a song out of it. And so it's Possession, and that's why it's entitled Possession. It's because these people see her as a possession rather than a person. And so very interesting backstory there. Number 8, one of the best dance songs of probably this generation. Great track from Outkast. I love Outkast. I don't know how you guys feel, but I love Outkast. Absolutely love them. And probably their biggest hit, as far as the top 40 goes, is Hey Ya. And I love Possum Jenkins and all the great characters that Andre 3000 plays in the video. It's amazing. But it's so crazy when you look at the lyrics here behind this song, and I'm going to read some of these for you because I think it's important to look at them in the proper context. My baby don't mess around because she loves me so, and this I know for sure. Yeah, but does she really wanna, but can't stand to see me. Walk out the door. Don't try to fight the feeling, because the thought alone is killing me right now. Thank God for Mom and Dad for sticking two together, because we don't know how. Pretty crazy when you begin to kind of break it down. In the second verse, you think you got it. Oh, you think you got it. But got it, just don't get it till there's nothing at all. We get together, we get together, but separate ways always better when there's feelings involved. If what they say is nothing is forever, then what makes, and you know the repeat, what makes love the exception? So why you? Why you? Why you? Why are you so in denial when we know we're not happy here? You don't want me here. You just want to dance. Pretty crazy. And again, it changes the context of the song completely. It's like you see everybody dancing around and partying and you think, man, this is a great jiving track. And you look into this and you realize Andre 3000 was going through something. It's nuts, man. Number 7. Third Eye Blind is Semi-Charmed Kind of Life, or Semi-Charmed Life, I guess is the technical title. But the song is about addiction. The song is about doing crystal meth, right? That's what it's about. But you hear it, and it's like, it's so great, right? That it's this driving guitar, and it gets you all excited. And you dig a little bit deeper into the lyrics, and you begin to realize this song is really not a happy song at all. Number 6, one of the greatest rock songs of all time was written by Kiss. It's Detroit Rock City. And it's actually, legend has it, based on a true story. And it's about a guy going to a Kiss show, and on the way to the show, he's so eager to get there, he's driving too fast, he has a wreck, and he dies. And it's interesting, the juxtaposition within the song, the way it's received by listeners, and then the lyrical content. Completely different dynamic in every aspect. When you listen to that great chorus, and you're like, get up, everybody's going to leave their seat, get down. It's great. It's a good sounding song. And then the verses itself kind of detail out things are not good. And if you listen to the album version, in the beginning he goes and gets in the car and cranks the car. The radio edit version doesn't have that. But again, it's a song basically about a guy that lost his life. All right, number 5, The Killers' Mr. Brightside. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't like this song. And I don't understand why so many people love this. It's been passed down from college generation to college generation, and everybody sings this song. Guys, it's not a happy song in any aspect. Again, the girl's cheating, and the guy kind of finds out, that, hey, did she kiss this guy? Did she sleep with that guy? I know who I am. I'm Mr. Brightside. I'm just the good guy in her life, but she really wants somebody else. And so basically, the dude's a cuckold. That's what he is. And he writes a song about it, and everybody sings it, and they think, oh, this is so great. Everybody's jumping up and down at parties and stuff. Guys, this guy's life is falling apart. It's crazy. Number 4, a song that's not about a girl cheating on you. It's, I guess, The Rest of the Way We're Not. Okay, so we're good. So everybody can take a breath. But number 4, and it's interesting, Roy and I sent the list, and Roy's like, hey, it's so weird you send that today because Elsa and I were listening to this song on the way to school today. And I had no clue what this song was about until today. It's really weird. Roy and I are syncing. It's Foster the People's Pumped Up Kicks. And I guess maybe it's the whistle or that infectious bass line. But a lot of people think this is a happy song. It's not. It's about a kid shooting other kids over their shoes. All the other kids with the pumped up kicks. You better run, outrun my gun. That's what it's about. And it's like we all dance around, and it's like, oh, we sing along, and everything is great. And you look and realize how dark the lyrical content is. It's about shooting a kid over their shoes. Number 3, really interesting story behind this one. Many of you are of my generation, and maybe if you were younger than me, your parents shared with you the glory and majesty of the Smashing Pumpkins. Anytime that I put on the album Gish, which I love with the debut, it's like I can visualize riding down Hardy Street in Hattiesburg. It was great. We had a beautiful day. We had all these great shops. We had a Cloverleaf Mall. Go to Sound Shop and see that incredible Frances at Sound Shop. She was amazing. I'm sure she still is. Maybe she married one of you. And you better appreciate her, because when she lived in Hattiesburg and worked at Sound Shop, everybody wanted to date her. And my friend and former guitar player, Clay Pittman, actually did date her for a while. But nevertheless, it was great living in Hattiesburg. But Smashing Pumpkins was really just kind of getting going. I was in college at the time, and things were rolling. Smashing Pumpkins had a different sound. And a lot of people were listening to really bad alternative rock. Really bad. And these guys and gal came in and really changed the dynamic. They were really forerunners in many respects. But when Siamese Dream came out, everybody got so excited about the song, Today is the Greatest. Today is the greatest day I've ever known. What you don't know, and what Billy Corgan admitted later, is he was going to kill himself that day. And he wrote that song essentially as a gratitude list. He was journaling himself, trying to pull himself out of a dark depression. And obviously it worked. Billy's still alive today and still recording music, doing well. But the song, while it is a song of encouragement and empowerment, it was written at one of the darkest points in Billy Corgan's life. Number two, and really the impetus for our list today, it never struck me until I heard somebody else explain it. Because, we all have this perception, right? We all do. It's like, I know what this song is about. And maybe we do and maybe we don't. That's the beauty of it all, right? That's the beauty of it all. Because of the fact that the art is in the mind of the interpreter, right? Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. You've heard it a million times. So I'm going to break it down for you. All I can say is that my life is pretty plain. I like watching the puddles gather rain, and all I can do is just pour some tea for two and speak my point of view, but it's not sane. It's not sane. I just want someone to say to me, I'll always be there when you wake. I'd like to keep my cheeks dry today, so stay with me and I'll have it made. Let that sink in for just a second, and begin to imagine how somber a mood Shannon Hoon must have been in when he recorded this, when he wrote this. And I understand that so many of these lyrics came from some journaling he did. There's nothing happy about the song other than the tempo and that dadgum beat girl in the video. It's really not a happy song. It comes across that way because Rodgers and those guys do such a great job with song composition. But the song itself, the lyrical content, is not happy. Now, when I began to go down this school of thought here, this train for your top 10 today, I was reminded, and the bride said, this has to be number one. No, let me take that back. She said, that's got to be on there. I said, babe, it's number one. And what really changed my opinion of this song was Ronnie Radke and Falling in Reverse deciding to re-record Papa Roach's Last Resort. And they set it to piano, and they tuned it down. And you begin to realize what a very, very, very disturbing song this thing is. And I always saw Last Resort, because I saw the video, and there's Jacoby and everybody dancing around and pumping their fist, and it's a song of defiance. It's not. It's not a song of defiance. It's a song of resignation. It absolutely is. And I think Ronnie Radke and Falling in Reverse really changed the way this song is viewed. And I'm going to get to this, and you can go. I would recommend, if you're a fan of Papa Roach and their version of this, go listen to Falling in Reverse's version of this. It will change the way you view the song. I'm going to skip ahead here. I never realized I was spread too thin till it was too late and I was empty within. Hungry, feeding on chaos and living in sin. Downward spiral, where do I begin? It all started when I lost my mother. No love for myself, no love for another. Searching to find a love upon a higher level, finding nothing but questions and devils. Because I'm losing my sight. losing my mind. I wish somebody would tell me I'm fine. It's crazy. Nothing's all right. Nothing's fine. I'm running and I'm crying. I'm crying. I'm crying. I can't go on living this way. It's not a happy song. It is an amazing song, and I think in many ways kind of encapsulates the human experience that so many of us feel. And so I share that with you today, not to depress you, but to get you to think a little bit. I think that's an important part of life, is to consider that there may be another interpretation of what we know or what we think. How cool is that? I'm going to encourage you this, though, because of the fact there are a lot of people that feel those feelings. Say, you know what, Steve, that's me. And I don't know where to turn, and I don't know who to talk to. And maybe I'm ashamed, or maybe I'm just scared. I don't want my family to know what I'm dealing with. I just want to keep it to myself. I don't want to be a burden to somebody else. I am a suicide survivor. I attempted to kill myself in the depths of my addiction. I was unsuccessful. There would be no Boneyard, be no Flim Flam. Probably wouldn't be a jeans page either. But you understand my point, is that life has a way of changing in a positive way if we're willing to ask for help. And so if you are a person that is feeling maybe like Jacoby Shaddix did when he wrote Last Resort, I'm going to encourage you today to dial 988 on your phone. That is the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. No matter what you're dealing with, anonymity is guaranteed, and you can speak to somebody. And sometimes it helps to speak to somebody outside of your circle. That's one of the things that I do when I share with people. You know, you have all these friends on social media that are kind of friends of friends, and I have people that kind of follow me for the work that we do. And they become friends on Facebook. And so occasionally somebody will post something that will stand out to me, and I kind of see the red flags. I say, I know what that feels like. That person may need some encouragement. And I do. I message those people. It's like, hey, I don't want to be weird with you, but sometimes it helps to talk to somebody outside your circle. Here's my phone number. Your anonymity is guaranteed. If you just simply need somebody to talk to, you call me. Because I know what that feels like. I know what it feels like to be so far away from where you need to be that any step you take is in the right direction. I get it. I'm a guy that's made a ton of mistakes. I still make them. They're just not as tragic as they once were. And so I share that with you, whether it's me or whoever. Find somebody to talk to, because I will speak for the rest of the world. We want you on this side of the grass. We do. We want you to be with us when the Bulldogs win the College World Series again. We want you to be with us when Mississippi State gets back to Atlanta and competes for an SEC championship. But more importantly, we want you to be an active member in the lives of those who love you. The people that love you are not oblivious to your plight. You may think you've got them fooled. You don't. They just don't want to talk about it. That's one of the things about growing up in Mississippi that I've learned, and maybe it's not just germane to us. But I grew up in South Mississippi, and as you guys know, I'm very fiercely proud of that. But we just didn't talk about difficult things. You know, I was raised in church, and that was one of those things that we just didn't talk about things like that. I think a lot of people were embarrassed. And to this day, there are people that I know, they are so embarrassed to admit that somebody they love is battling with addiction and or depression. It's like it's a negative reflection on them, like somehow they failed as a parent. It's just not true. It's not true. My Aunt Kathy just this week told me, I haven't been able to finish the book. There's some parts in it that really disturbed me. And I just want to apologize to you that I wasn't there for you. But she was there for me. She was. And I let her off the hook, and I told her that. And so I share that because I think it's important to understand. We get on here and we have a good time. We talk music. We talk Mississippi State. I'm using my platform to try to do something good for other people too. You know, and every so often I get criticized for it. And you know what? Screw you, okay? That's how I feel about it. You know, it's like, well, Steve, let's stop with the fake platitudes. You know, the only thing fake in this scenario is you. I'm trying to be as real with you as I can possibly be right now. I am a person that has had many problems. I have faced those demons, and I've slayed most of them. It's true. And I share that to give people hope, not in any way to prop me up, not to necessarily tell my story. What do I gain from getting out here and talking about the most painful parts of my life? Nothing. But I want you guys to understand it doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be. You may think it is. You may think it's going to last forever, but it's not. And one of the last things I'm going to say about this, when I read about these kids that kill each other, these kids that commit suicide, I wish I could take all of them up in my arms and tell them it's not always going to be this way. All those people in high school that give you so much trouble, the people that make you feel bad about yourself, people that you turn your head when you walk down the hall because you don't want to deal with it, these people are just tourists in your life. Life is long. And there's so many people that I knew from high school that, when I got in trouble, they didn't want anything to do with me. And it's funny how life turns. I moved on, made a fresh start for myself, got married, had kids, built a life, found happiness, found my calling in life, and all those same people all of a sudden started popping up on my social media. Hey, Steve, we're proud of you. Because we all mature at some point. Most of us do anyway. And so I share that with you because there are so many people out there that love you, even when you don't love yourself. You have to just be cognizant of that. And kind of getting back to our list here, like Doug Hopkins, when he killed himself, he called his friend and said, hey, I'm going to off myself, and he did. And they goes, hey, well, what about your girl? He goes, oh, she'll probably be better off anyway. Well, that story doesn't have a happy ending either, because she lost somebody that she felt was the love of her life. Never, ever, ever underestimate the negative impact on the world that your absence would bring. All right, next segment of the show brought to you by Campus Bookmart, a Starkvillian institution. Campus Bookmart, an outstanding place to do business because, number one, they're Bulldogs too, but they're also supplying you with the best options available when it comes to selecting Mississippi State merchandise, whether it be clothing, whether it be decorations for your home, indoor, outdoor, whatever. You can outfit your wardrobe and your home, your pet, whatever, at Campus Bookmart. Next time you're in town, go see their smiling faces. If you can't make it to town, we still encourage you to support a Starkville business because you love Starkville. I know you do, or you wouldn't be listening to the show. You can visit them on the World Wide Web, courtesy of Al Gore's Internet, at campusbookmart.net. And by being a loyal Boneyard listener, we'll give you a phrase that pays. That is BSR, which stands for Beautiful Steve Robertson. That gets you free shipping on all orders over $75. Any order less than 75 bones, absolutely incomplete. All right, our final segment, we're going to talk about the WBIT preview of Penn State. But let's jump into Florida real quick here because the Bulldogs, Lady Bulldogs, are going to play next. But so we'll go ahead and look ahead of the weekend here. Florida, interesting scenario. You look at this and say they're 14-10, and they're ranked in the top 10. How can that be? Well, they got some talent on that team, and they've shown that on weekends. Not so much in the midweek. And, it's so weird, too. Like, if you think about how we would feel, let's just say, for an example, that you open up the opening series of college baseball, and you're going to be at home, and everybody's all excited, and you've got probably will sweep. You lose the first game of the year to St. John's, and then the next two ball games are rained out. Our self-loathing fans, the ones that we have, would say, you know what? Maybe it's just not our year. I mean, it's like we couldn't even get out of the gate. It's 3 non-conference wins we needed. And we can't even celebrate Gator baseball because of the fact that, we get beat, and then we have to sit there and soak in our sorrows for 2 days. We get back on the baseball diamond on Tuesday against North Florida and win that game 10-0. Okay, now we're back. Okay, we get North Florida, another midweek win. Good. Columbia, the Lions roll in from the Ivy League. We sweep them. Okay, we're good, guys. Everything is great. We've won 5 in a row. And then we have to travel to Stetson in DeLand, Florida, and they beat us 7-4. Well, that wasn't expected. Okay, we bounce back the next day and beat Bethune-Cookman 9-2. All right, we got to go down to Miami. Oh, we find a way to get 2 out of 3 down there. Okay, we're good. Then the Florida-Atlanta game gets rained out. We bounce back on Wednesday and got to play Central Florida. And they beat us 9-6. It's nuts, man. We take care of St. Mary's on Friday. That's St. Mary's of California, not the one that we played. And they knock us around the ballpark a little bit, but we find a way to win late 12-11 in 10 innings. We come back on Saturday, and they beat us 9-7. We get right on Sunday with a 10-0, 10-run ruling of them in 8 innings. All right, now we got Florida State coming in. We got the rivalry thing. It'd be like us and Ole Miss, right? We got them coming into our ballpark. We're playing a home and home this year. Florida State comes into our backyard and beats us 12-8. Brutal. Now we got to go and host Texas A&M. We find a way to win the weekend. You lose the middle game, but you find a way to win. And pitching shows up a little bit on Sunday, and you win 4-2. Guys, we're great. We're great. We're never losing again. Well, no, just for a couple days. Then you host the Dolphins of Jacksonville U, and they go in to Condren Family Ballpark and win 7-6. It's absolute insanity. Now you got to go to Baton Rouge facing a very angry LSU team. They get you 6-1. You bounce back on Saturday and win in extra innings 6-4. Like, okay, well, guys, we get it a Sunday, we got a chance to win this thing. And they do. They 10-run rule LSU 12-2 in Baton Rouge. So back-to-back weeks in SEC play, LSU has been 10-run ruled. You begin to wonder maybe if some of the State 22 and Ole Miss 2023 dust isn't in the bags at LSU. It's nuts, man. You're like, guys, we're great. We went down there to Alex Box Stadium, that softball park, and we won 2 out of 3. We got Florida State. We're going to play those guys in Jacksonville. We'll get our revenge. No. You get 10-run ruled yourself, 14-3, and only have 3 hits. Guys, it's an insane season the Florida Gators are having. But make no mistake about it, this Florida team is exceptionally talented. Hadn't always shown up. There's not a lot of depth in the order. But they're a team that can pitch it pretty well. And when you can pitch it, you can stay in ball games until the offense gets caught up. But it's crazy. You look, again, 2 out of 3 against A&M, 2 out of 3 against LSU. Ironically, that's the 2 team status plays. There's a lot of scouting video of opponents in common. Of course, the straw that stirs the drink down there in Gainesville, Florida, Jack Caglione. They call him Cags. Every great baseball player has a big nickname. He's got 12 tanks. He's hitting .402 on the year. Driven in a team-high 27 runs. So we need to make sure when he comes up to bat, there's nobody on base. We can pitch around him. He's only struck out 11 times on 102 at-bats. Future first-round draft pick, future major leaguer, Jack Caglione. We'll see him pitch too. Number 2 hitter is Ty Evans, hitting .387. 6 tanks, 22 bombs. Tyler Shelnut, a guy that has really kind of come on for him here as of late, hitting .306. He's got 8 tanks as well, and then Colby Shelton with a dozen, tied for the team lead. They've hit 52 home runs as a team, but it's been 53, excuse me. It's been rather concentrated, though. I mean, it's like 24 of those bombs come from 2 players, and then it's kind of filtered among a few other guys. But played in their ballpark, they're going to have a lot of confidence. You guys know this. We all know this. But, they've only got 4 guys hitting above 300. So, again, not a lot of depth. Of course, you got some guys that can run into it. But, not really a team that 1 through 9 scares you to death. We got to go out there and throw strikes and be competitive. But it's interesting. Florida doesn't run the bases a lot either, which is interesting, too. 16 of 19 on the stolen bases this year. And Tyler Shelnut leads them 4 for 4. So they're opportunistic when they run. But it's interesting to see how it all kind of plays out here. Let's look at some conference numbers here too. In the SEC, Florida has attempted 2 stolen bases. Against them, opponents have only attempted 4. So not a lot of running. Ty Evans leads Florida in SEC play with a .429 average. And only 3 guys hitting above 300 in SEC play. But again, Sully is about pitching. Anything about Florida, they always seem to have big-time pitchers. Doesn't always work out the way they expect, but they get it done. Jack Caglione's had 5 starts on the year, 2 no decisions, a 3-0 record. He's worked 27 in the third and gotten a little bit of a dust-up in LSU over the weekend, but has allowed just 5 earned runs on 12 hits, 39 punch-outs against 18 walks. So we're talking 2 for 1 there. Allowed 6 extra base hits, 3 of them home runs. Ryan Slater is another guy that's been pretty good for them, mainly in middle and long relief. He leads the staff with 14 appearances on the year. He's made 1 start. He has worked 25 and 2/3 innings, allowed 20 hits, so just under a hit per. 10 runs, all of them earned, 10 walks, and 23 strikeouts. So again, 2-1 there. He's also a guy that's been somewhat susceptible to the extra base hit. He's allowed 9 extra base hits this year. No home runs to date, though. Cade Fisher, a couple of starts for him, ERA of 8.13. He's worked 27 and 2/3 of an inning, too. So you got 4 guys out there that have worked 22 innings plus. But none of these guys you look at and say, hey, they're having a great year. Outside of Cags, nobody is really just dominating things. That's an important aspect of it, too. We got to get in that bullpen. And one thing that's important about that, you start looking at the ERA and things like that, there's so many guys in here that have a very, very surprising earned run average. Now, opponents are only hitting 247 against them, but they're giving up 5.84 runs a ball game. So right at 6 runs a game. The opponents are only giving up 7. And again, that's what happens when you have all these 10-run rules one way or another, right? You go 10-run rule somebody, and then they 10-run rule you. It's also very interesting. Now, as a staff, they've given up just 30 home runs this year. So we're going to have to work doubles. We're going to have to string things together. They do a good job keeping the ball down. And you'd expect that when you've got a head coach that prioritizes pitching. That's his specialty. But what's insane about this deal here, guys, and again, we're getting into SEC play. Everybody gets a little bit inflated. Guys, I only have 4 pitchers on the staff with an ERA of under 4. That's it. Cags is one of them. Robert Satin is the other, is another. Riley Whitmer has been really good for them, but he's only thrown 1 1/3 innings. So he's kind of an anomaly there. He just hadn't had enough work. He's the only guy with hadn't given up a run this year. But he's only worked 1 1/3 innings, only faced 5 hitters on the year. So you kind of throw that out. But there's going to be some opportunities to make some plays against his pitching staff. There's going to be some opportunities to put some things together. Walks, that's one of the things you look at. We talked about the old, you want to be at least 3 for 1, right? You want that. As a staff, they're just above. They're right around 2-4 to 1, but they're beneath 3 to 1. And you start working through this and say, well, Steve, who are the big strikeout guys? Well, the guy that has had the best ratio is Cade Fisher. He's made a couple starts for him, but his ERA is 8.13. 42 punch-outs against just 7 walks. But opponents are hitting 287 against him, and he has hit a staff-high 6 hitters this year. And so, again, you begin to work through and say, okay, well, who's their guy? Well, they got a lot of guys with a lot of talent, but nobody has really stepped forward outside of Cags and said, okay, give me the ball. I'm a guy that can go get outs for you. They've pitched 211 innings this year, have allowed right at 200 hits. Those are not great numbers. And it's important to understand that. This is a hittable staff. We got to go out there and lay off the breaking ball, make them throw strikes, got to hunt the fastball, make some things happen. I'm not expecting to take the series, though. We got to at least go get one. I'd love to take the series. I'd love to sweep it, but of course, that's not going to happen. I mean, if it does, it's a very amazing development. But Mississippi State has to get one, and we'd love to get 2. And I think it's going to boil down to number one, and maybe we get a better draw with umpires this week. But we got to go out there and throw strikes, keep the ball down. But also, we've got to be able to go out there and hit their pitch. Offensively, we've shown some real flashes. There's some games we come out there and it's so we can do everything we need to do. We need to get Logan Kohler going. I mean, he's all the way down in the 9 hole now. He went from 6 to 9 and just keeps getting lower and lower and lower. And that was the guy we expected to be a double-digit home run guy for us, and he hasn't even hit a home run yet. It's nuts. I mean, the first month of the season is over now, and he hadn't got going. He's got home run power. We need some good things to happen. He's been great for us defensively. But this could be a good weekend for him to kind of break through and see. But when we start working through this and you begin to think, conference play, look at pitching, things of that nature. Ryan Slater, as good as he's been, this is a guy that hadn't had a ton of strikeouts. So he's kind of a pitch-to-contact guy. He's a reliever, but he's a pitch-to-contact guy. Brandon Neely's a guy, obviously, that has worked some for them. Seems like he's been around forever. He's a guy that's very difficult to barrel up. SEC play, it's been very, very difficult to get to him. But when you start working through the starters and things of that nature, it's just, Liam Peterson, Cade Fisher, Jack Caglione. That's been your three guys. And as big and strong and physical as Cag is, he hides the ball well. He's got a plus fastball. Opponents are hitting just $1.59 against him. But he's not a guy that works deep in the ball games. Again, he's had all these appearances, but, it's about keeping him healthy too, right? I mean, you don't want to overload the guy. But in SEC play, he's gone right at 6 innings per game. So we just got to kind of hang in there and get in that bullpen. Cade Fisher has had 2 starts at a 1-1 record, a 9.0 ERA in SEC play. Another guy that's working basically into the 5th inning. He's allowing right a hit per inning in SEC play, but he struck out 15, walked just 3. Opponents are hitting 250 against him. And then Liam Peterson, his ERA is 14.21 in SEC play. He's made 2 starts. He has an 0-1 record. And he's the guy that's been hit around the ballpark a lot, and just worked 6 innings and 2 starts. So when the opportunity comes, you got to jump. Opponents are hitting .419 against him. Also giving up 6 home runs. They're giving up 10 in SEC play. 6 of them have come off Liam Peterson. So we're going to get out there and make some plays. We're going to have to get there and make some things happen. That's the important aspect of this. We can't sit around and let them hand the game to us. We got to go take the game. We have to go take the game. And I like the mindset of where our players are right now. I think our kids are in good shape. I think winning last night, they kind of learned a little bit. It's a different hero every night in many respects, even though Dakota Jordan typically wears a cape to the ballpark. I just want to make sure that everybody understands we are capable of winning this series. I don't think we're going to, because it's so tough to win on the road in the SEC. If we do, Katie bar the door. But when you think about where we thought we'd be and where we could be here, you get a chance to go take one here. I think it puts you in a great position as the schedule begins to even up a little bit here. Our toughest part of our schedule were the first 3 weekends in the SEC. And so if we're able to get through that at 4-5, and then you got 7 more weekends to try to scratch out 10 wins, and you say, Steve, I don't want to be a minimum standard guy. I don't either. But I want to get back into a regional somewhere, and I want to go win that regional. I don't think anybody is going to be happy. If there's anybody out there in the conference, in the league, you know what's going to happen. When it comes out, there are going to be a lot of people that say, hey, congratulations, you're a 1 seed. Great, who's our 2? Mississippi State. Oh, really? We got to deal with Hunter Hines and Dakota Jordan in our ballpark in a regional? They're going to feel like they got screwed. And so I just want to find a way to get that done. And so you start looking at the math and work through this. And so we can ill afford to have an empty weekend. We've got to go get at least a game to get us closer to our goal of getting back in the postseason. Now, I'd love to be able to host. You want to host? You go win a series like this, because that RPI is going to help carry you in, but also, too, that's another SEC win you're unexpected to get. And how many people had us losing to LSU? There were some people forecasting a sweep. We win the series. So we're a little bit ahead of schedule. I want to stay ahead of schedule. And if you go win this series, you're definitely ahead of schedule. All right. Our final segment of the show brought to you by the Stark Vegas Clubhouse. Listen, I have people that have hit me up here recently asking about Stark Vegas Clubhouse. Yes, it's for you. Yeah, if you're bringing a large group to town, rather than have to figure out the labyrinth of hotel accommodations, don't mess with that. It's like, oh, well, 2 people can stay here and 1 person can stay here, and then so-and-so's got this. And, we'll put an air mattress down. You don't have to do that, okay? Google Stark Vegas Clubhouse, and you can check out their Facebook page and all the amenities that are available to you and all your guests, right? 5 bedrooms, 2 bath, the full wet bar, the full service kitchen. It's a fabulous place. It's the old renovated clubhouse of the old country club. It's now available for you to book, whether it's a weekend or a midweek thing. Maybe you're coming up to watch ball games over a weekend. Maybe it's a situation where you've got a work crew coming to town. And work crew could mean a number of things. Maybe you're working outside. Maybe you're working around campus. Or maybe you just need to have everybody centrally located. Maybe you want to do a retreat with all your managers, your employees. You can have the common areas to work with, and everybody can have their personal quarters to retreat to. Now, when you Google Stark Vegas Clubhouse, you're going to have the opportunity to book through Airbnb, and you can do that. You can book through VRBO. That's cool too. But if you want to save some of your money and perhaps your company's money, you book through the Evolve website. And why do you do that? Because I'm going to give you a promo code. It's BSR10. BSR and the number 10 gets you 10% off your stay at the Stark Vegas Clubhouse. If you're bringing a large group to town, why would you stay anywhere else? It's as simple as that. You know, you got to go stay at that hotel, and sometimes that's great, and sometimes it's not. You got to go to that lounge, and everybody's just going to sit and talk, and you got all these interlopers, and you just want to be with your guys, man, or you want to be with your ladies, and you don't want to be messed with, right? So you can go stock that fridge with some adult beverages, get some seltzers, whatever you want to do, maybe some Diet Coke, some waters, Kool-Aid. I don't care what you drink. And you go out there and just enjoy being with your people. Look into it today, the Stark Vegas Clubhouse. All right, as we mentioned, the ladies going to be in action against Penn State. They had a tough ball game, but they win the game over Belmont to advance in the WBIT. And happy that we're still playing, right? You're like, well, Steve, we didn't make the tournament. Yeah, I get it. I understand. I get it. But, hey, here we go. Now we're in the quarterfinals, making some things happen. Now, Penn State has had a pretty good year this year. They have. But like us, they didn't make the dance. And so they're kind of similarly situated with us. And so let's run it down here real quick in the last time we have together. And for those of you that are curious, and I know many of you are, that is going to be on ESPN Plus. Now, it's listed at 6 p.m. Eastern, so I assume that's 5 p.m. Central, because I know how to tell time. But sometimes I never know how the internet is going to lead us, right? So, big ball game Thursday night. That's tomorrow night, in case you've forgotten. And we don't play baseball until Friday, so you can tune in and enjoy this. But you got Penn State, looking at their numbers here, 21-12 overall, 9-9 in the Big Ten this year. 14-4 at home. So they are beatable up there, but they have been very good, as everybody is on their home court. 5-6 away and 2-2 in neutral games. So 7-8 away from their home arena, the Bryce Jordan Center there in University Park, Pennsylvania. They opened up really, really strong this year. Got up on a 5-game winning streak. That includes Bucknell, Navy, Kansas, at St. John's, and then Oklahoma State down at the Baja Mar Hoops Pink Flamingo Tournament. Say that 10 times real fast. And then a narrow loss to a very highly ranked USC team, top 10th time. Penn State loses by 1 for their first loss. And so even though they lost, you walk away thinking, hey, we're pretty good. They win the next 2 and then lose at West Virginia and then lose in overtime to number 11 Ohio State. Then they destroy St. Francis. My goodness, 119-43. Looks like Francis is the only one that showed up and played. They get by Central Connecticut State. Then they lose to Michigan State. Bounce back with a win over Northwestern at home. Lose at number 14 Indiana. Again, a competitive ball game by 8. They win on the road at Rutgers. They win at home against Purdue. They take down Nebraska, Northwestern, Maryland, Minnesota. You think the ship is righted. They go to Michigan and lose. They host that game and lose. And then they go play Caitlin Clark in number 2 Iowa in Iowa City and get beat 111-93. That'll leave a mark. And things began to really kind of snowball from there. Of course, they had that big winning streak. They lose to Michigan, and the next thing you know, you look up, you lost to Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois, and at Maryland, and then Ohio State, the number 2 team in the country at the time, absolutely destroys you in your own backyard. And you could think, hey, the season's over. But that stretch is why they're not in the tournament. They do bounce back to beat Purdue by 5, and then they destroy Minnesota on senior day, and they're a second round out of the Big Ten tournament. They beat Wisconsin, but faced off with Iowa in the second round and get knocked out, and they miss a tournament. And so you look at them and you say, hey, we've seen a really good stretch from them, and we've seen some times when they hadn't played so well. So are we capable of winning this game? You better believe it. We're also capable of going up there and laying an egg and getting run out of the gymnasium, because this is a team that certainly has some talent. Kind of familiarizing you with what they've had and what they've done with it this year. They're averaging 83 points a game, giving up right at 71. Shooting right at 31% a game. Opponents holding them to right at 26%. So clearly a team that emphasizes defense here. Converting about 37% of their three-point attempts, allowing right at 32. Rebounding has not been necessarily a strong suit, but they've been very competitive. They're out-rebounding their opponents by just over 2 a game. They do hand out a ton of assists, but they're also a team, too, that has been beat with that extra pass a few times. 17.5 assists per game for the Lady Nittany Lions and right at 15 for their opponents. Turnovers, it's interesting to kind of see this statistic here, right? 16.7 a game. And then their opponents at 18.3, so a difference of 1.6. But 20, very opportunistic are the Nittany Lions getting out in transition, averaging just under 21 points a game off turnovers. So we've got to protect the basketball. 310 steals, their opponents just at 270, so it's pretty much, kind of an even kill thing there. But 138 blocks to just under 100. So you look at this and you say, you know what? We need Jessica Carter to have a big game, and we do. But guard play is always significant in games like this. It always tends to be. That's what postseason basketball is about, is guard play. And so McKenna, I guess, I don't want to get this wrong. It's McKenna Marissa, but it could go either way, right? And somebody out there will probably flip that. But she is a senior guard from McMurray, Pennsylvania. Been there a while, but a 5'11" guard, and does a lot for them, as you guys that have done any research whatsoever. Averaging 13.3 points a game. They got 5 players that have been averaging in double figures. But, it's kind of interesting to see, how life works. Ashley Owosu, grad student, was injured early on, has come on here as of late and been really good for them down the stretch. She's only played in 18 games of their 33 and started 16 of them, but all those have been in the spring semester. So the non-conference portion of it, none. But you're working through this here. She's the leading scorer of this team now. 17.7 points a game. It's interesting. Also pulled down 104 boards. Now, Leilani Kapinas, or Kapinas, be careful how we say that. Been outstanding for them. Pulled down 219 rebounds this year, 178 on the defensive end, averaging 6.5 a game, but she leads a team. We've got to get in there and play, for sure. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. What's amazing about Leilani is she's a 5'10" guard, and she leads a team in rebounding. Isn't that neat? I mean, it really is. It shows that the hustle is a real thing, is a part of her game. Pretty amazing stuff. But, we got our hands full. Not just because of the fact that we're playing a good team, playing on the road. And so hopefully we can win and keep this thing rolling, but we don't know what's going to happen. None of us do. But I do encourage you to tune in and keep up with the ladies. One of the things that I think that we have done such a great job of as a fan base, maybe in the last 20 years, and I'm going to take some credit for that over at Gene's page. I think we've done a good job kind of keeping you guys in tune with what's happening around Mississippi State. I think our fans have done a great job being involved in everything. With everything. You keep up with everything. It used to be we'd just be a football and baseball school, and then if basketball was good, we'd kind of jump on board with that. But you see, like on Twitter, when softball wins a big game, you'll look up and there'll be, all these retweets and people celebrating. And ordinarily, we didn't do that. That's where I think it's a good part of social media and internet traffic. Interesting, right? And I think that's where our fans, we've really matured as a fan base. We're not just rooting for our favorite sport. We're rooting for all sports involving Mississippi State. That's a very, very good thing. If you hadn't done so, go to whenthebottomfalls.com and you can order the new book, When the Bottom Falls, that, again, as I told you yesterday, at number 5 on the bestseller list right now in Mississippi. Very, very proud of that. Very grateful to all of you. While you're there, you can pick up all my sports titles. That's Alpha Dogs, Stark Villains, Flim Flam, and Dog Pile. And, of course, working on the new book now, The Dude. We're 7 chapters in. We'll have that for you. We're on schedule. And we'll have that to you right around fall. So you'll have a chance to buy it. We'll have some book signings on game day. You can come by and see my smiling face and pick up copies of The Dude And be great holiday gifts for people. And what's interesting, too, I have people that will come like in September, I'm going to buy this for so-and-so for Christmas. And then that person ends up buying the book, too. People typically aren't going to wait. But I appreciate your support below these many years. If you're looking to support me these days, you can do so, of course, by buying gear from StarkVillains.com. Buy the book, subscribe to Gene's page. But, hey, make my wife happy. Call and schedule a float today over at True Rest Float Therapy Spa in Starkville. That phone number is 662-268-7601. We've had a ton of Boneyard listeners that have gone in. You can even select the Boneyard when it says, how did you hear from us? The company, True Rest, said, hey, let's put that on there. So that's listed. You can pick the Boneyard. That's a cool thing, too. But you owe it to yourself. And I've had some people that are involved with Mississippi State sports that have gone. I'm not going to reveal their names because I didn't ask for permission. We've had a lot of people that have gone and emailed me or text me or found me on social media and say, dude, I don't know why I waited so long. So I'm going to ask you, what are you waiting for? I know it's a unique experience, maybe unlike anything you've ever done before, but it's like a bath, only better. Right? And if you are a person that struggles with anxiety, you have trouble sleeping, insomnia is a problem for you, chronic pain, we may have a solution at True Rest of Starkville. Be sure and check it out. You can find us on Facebook. And, of course, the phone number is 662-268-7601. I'm going to get out of here. And I got a couple more days, of course, before we hit the road to Gainesville, Florida. So we will be back probably Thursday night. We'll probably record the Friday show Thursday night. And so that should be waiting on you when you get up Friday morning because your good friend and host will be on the way to Gainesville, Florida to go cover the Diamond Dawgs. And looking forward to do that. Hadn't been down there in a while. And last time we went down there, we took the series. And so I'm eager to get down there. We've had some success on the road at Florida. So I'm not ruling out taking the series. I'm just not expecting it. But I do think we'll take a game, and I hope we can get two. I hope. But until next time, let's all live our lives in a way we make more friends than enemies, and people can see a difference in the way we live.